Fantasy Freakazoids, we're back once again, and we're doing a bit of a higher stakes draft. We are doing a $500 Yahoo draft prize league. So the winner here, 6 times 5, 3,000. Winner gets 3,000 on this, not so bad. So I'm going to run you through a quick couple things. This will just give you a great example of a high stakes draft, let you know how I think about punting. If I will punt, we'll kind of see how the draft evolves. I'm set here with pick number 7. I think I'm probably going to get Anthony Edwards, maybe Cade. Listen, if Giannis falls, I'd be pleased, but who really knows? All we can do is let the draft come to us and just adjust as we have opportunities. And we're trying to just take advantage of the market, pick really good players, and make punts if it calls for it. If not, let's just draft the most across the board, even keel team. I want to show you something really quick before we jump into this draft. We have about a minute left. I want to show you a mock draft, a quick mock draft that I did from yesterday. And what I'm going to do is show you how to throw this into the spreadsheet here so you could get like a really good analysis of a mock draft. It's all about practicing. I put in a lot of time, a lot of effort before any of these drafts, so I kind of have a bunch of scenarios already set up. So let's quickly jump into this. So what I'm going to do here is copy the entire mock draft from pick number 1 all the way down. This is a 12-team mock. Make sure I'm in a 12-team league. Perfect. So right over here, this is the tab number 2, email results. Let's escape that, and then what we're going to do here is paste this without formatting. So paste special, values only, and boom, the whole draft propagates from the Yahoo room, from the Yahoo mock draft into this. So again, it's all about prep before you do this draft. We've got 8 seconds left, so check it out. This creates for me ultimately a team comparison table, so I can see exactly how I mock draft in this draft, and it shows also a full team breakdown. It categorizes the entire mock draft so you could see how you did versus other teams. So let's jump into our main draft where I'll be using tab number 6, live draft partner. I've already plugged in Anthony Edwards. Let's see who we get. Number 1, I'm assuming it's going to be Nikola Jokic. In a high stakes league, people don't make mistakes. It's going to go Jokic, maybe SGA, maybe Victor. I just feel like people see risk in Victor Wembanyama, but nope, no risk there. So standard 1 and 2. Ooh, Doncic goes 3, but LeBron down. I don't hate that pick. Shea is obviously going for, unless somebody is going for a punt right out of the gates. If Giannis goes, then I know this team number 4 is instantly going for a punt. It just kind of sets your radar off a little bit. So right now everything's more or less standard. Doncic without LeBron is a good enough 3rd overall pick. I'd probably still go Shea. He's just so freaking good across the board. Little excited, first big money draft. Hopefully you guys have some drafts coming soon, and hopefully this is going to be insightful. I'll show you as the draft ends. I'll show you the draft results so you can see the whole the whole draft board, so that you could see. You know what? I'll leave the draft board here just so you can kind of see what's going on. With a couple picks left, I'm going to switch back to players. But I don't even need to. For the first round kind of plays itself out. SGA goes 4, totally standard. I think we probably have, Giannis going 5 or Cade going 5. I think the order is going to be either Giannis or Cade, and then it's me to pick Ant. Do I love Ant here? No. Ooh, if Giannis falls, I can immediately start to think about what it looks like to punt, free throw, and kind of overemphasize some of my bigger man stats here, sort of build on my blocks, build on my steals. I can also build on assists too, grab some of these dynamic, exactly what I thought. So, and Edwards goes to me. I'm going to pull the trigger on this. If I have a player, I like to move with speed because it puts pressure on the manager after me. I could have weighted that clock down all the way to 0 and kind of thought about who I'm going to pair with him, who I'm going to pair, but rather put on the pressure and prepare right now. So let's start to plug in some players. I'm just going to go in order until I get to am I loving Harden this year? And is he a good pairing with Ant? He is a good pairing with Ant, but I'm like overemphasizing my turnovers and I'm overemphasizing my bad field goal percentage, but I do get great assists. But like if I'm really thinking about assists on a full spectrum, would I rather try to get Derek White in the 3rd round and try to fade a James Harden? If I could get a Steph Curry, I think I'd be quite pleased with that because I can essentially, I'm not going to say lock up threes, but I could really tie up threes strongly if I get the number 1 and number 2 3-point shooter. Would I take a Trey? It's sort of the same story as a James Harden, but, you know, bigger assists, bigger points. I mean, when you look at a Trey and you look at a Harden, you are essentially, it's more or less the same player. Harden gets a little bit more blocks, actually 0.7 per game, which is not bad. Anthony Edwards, and I'll show you exactly. So I knew I was going to get Ant. So here's what Ant does well. I've got my stats across the board here, and I'm going to be tracking these stats as I draft. And all I did was copy and paste Anthony Edwards' name from the previous tab, put it right here, and then I've got this magic tab B, which does all the magic for you, and then I've got my aggregated stats over here. And we will continue through 5 picks till my turn. The only player who is still highlighted here is Steph Curry. If I get Steph, I'll be pleased. If I don't, who do I want here? Who do I want here with an Ant Edwards? I'm going to go for talent. Do I want a Sengun? I think he's going to have a really good year, but I don't really get that opportunity to bolster my threes if I get a Sengun. I'm probably better off having somebody a touch more dynamic. I mean, it could be controversial to take a Kevin Durant over a Sengun, but I do get threes, and I'm just a touch more efficient across the board. I think Sengun probably gets more turnovers than KD this year. It could be very close. Maybe I'll just get Steph Curry. I won't even think about it. So Steph Curry could very well fall to me. If I don't get Steph, who's my backup? Do I want a Harden, or would I prefer to have a Domantas Sabonis here? I don't love Domantas Sabonis because he doesn't get you much in the way of steals or blocks, and Ant Edwards is kind of already a good start with steals. I wouldn't want to go in soft punt steals. He is a good big man that does provide assists, but I could piecemeal. I could grab my assists from one guy, I could grab my rebounds from another guy. Let's see. I still only have Steph Curry. I should have more players queued up here. So let's take Steph. Let's go safe with Jalen Williams. Amen Thompson went number 9. That is really interesting. I'm going to have to keep track of this gentleman over here who takes Amen at number 9. That's the earliest I've seen him go. I don't hate it, but I feel like you're losing out on pretty much all the value. This is going to be a very, very specific build, and I'm going to want to track draft results here for, let's see, who does he take? I mean, is it going to be a crazy steals guy? Is he going to go ahead and just take Dyson Daniels at pick number 16? Let's start to analyze. He took Amen number 1, Dyson Daniels. I called that out. So now I know exactly what kind of build he's going for, and I could work around that build if I'm so inclined. I still think now is the time to just grab value where value exists. I'm the next pick here. Steph, I have 2 players highlighted. I have Steph, I have Jalen Williams, 2 really interesting players here. Man, the Amen Dyson Daniels build. He is already going for a build, so I know against him I can still get steals, but I don't want to be the best team at steals because it looks like he's trying to already wrap that up. Let's see. Anybody else has any crazy builds? Booker and Kevin Durant, I kind of get that. Good efficiency across the board. Trey and Maxey, I think it's a pretty good build. Ant Edwards, at this point, if I get Ant and Steph, that's the right build for this. Would Anthony Davis take a Steph Curry? Probably not. Anthony Davis probably takes he would have liked an Evan Mobley. I bet he takes an Alperen Sengun. Oh, he takes a Harden there. All right, so Steph is the guy I was targeting. Steph is the right player for me here. There's other players I could grab, but I think as far as the build that I have on the line, I should accentuate what I've got going here. I'll wait a little bit. I'm not so definitive. There could be other players I want. I mean, I would take a Jalen Williams, but it doesn't work as well with the build that I've got going. I've got to dance with the music that's on the radio here, and this is a very competitive league, so punting at this point I can tell will be necessary. Not in love with Domantas Sabonis. I mean, would I even take a Jalen Brunson here, who still will get through? No, I think my play is to take a Steph Curry here. Take Steph and just accentuate the threes that I have. Okay, we've got an interesting build here too. Let's plug them into the spreadsheet. Steph Curry. All I need to do is copy and paste the name. Simply copy and then paste the name right here. All my stats propagate. So I've got free throws. I'm going to accentuate free throws, threes, points per game. I can probably grab assists somewhere. Derek White won't fall to me, but if he does, I think I would be quite pleased with that situation to build. So now I'm thinking in my head, who are the players I want to grab? Who are going to be some center eligible players that will work well for me, like a Jaren Jackson Jr.? That's a good fit for a build like this, or I could grab some steals and, beat the field in steals, but there's no way I'm beating this guy who drafted A-Man and Dyson to start. Let's sort of analyze. I still have a bit of a while till my next pick. I could start to aggregate players who are going to be a good fit for me. And that would be a Jalen, Brunson, LeBron. Who knows what's going to happen with him this year. Scotty's actually not a great pick for me in this position. Let's see draft results. Donovan Mitchell is an interesting pick for Giannis. A Giannis and Donovan Mitchell build is really, really interesting since you're tying in free throws with somebody who has terrible free throws. I'm not quite sure I understand that 1-2 pick. The Cade Jalen, I think, is interesting too. You've got a really good dynamic big man in Jalen Johnson if he stays healthy, and you could pair that with strong assists across the board. So this guy's going for good assists, I think. All right, SGA and Josh Giddey. That's a really good, strong build where you're getting just powerful stats in Giddey. Giddey could be like a quasi-walking triple-double this year. We could be 20, 10, and 10 with 1.5 steals. I think that's really good for steals across the board here, too. Luka and Domantas Sabonis is a really good matchup, too. Wemby and Brunson is interesting. I feel like you just can't go wrong with a Wemby build. He's going to be so dynamic this year. Jokic, too. Jokic just... Let's see who he takes. Jokic. A Jokic build would probably be good for a Jalen Williams or an Alperen Sengun. Although you have two center-eligible players, not sure. Or like even a Scotty Barnes is interesting there too. Possibly a Pascal Siakam in that spot. Would you go a Chet? I think a Chet is a little too early for that. Let's just kind of pair back to where I'm at. I want to get somebody who has some dynamic three-pointers. Think about my build here. Who am I going to target? Like a Derek White is early, but a Derek White is right here. Because I just do not think he's going to be falling to me in the 42 spot. There's value after 42. It's early for Derek White, but it's a really interesting build for me if I grab a Derek White here. It allows me to just continue to build along. Maybe I could grab a Derek White and then a JJJ. That's a really, really cool build for somebody in my position here. Unless, will a Scotty fall to me? And would I even want a Scotty Barnes in this position? I don't think a Scotty would make a ton of sense for the build that I have going here. My team, game blouses. Obviously, I want to accentuate these stats. I want to accentuate free throw threes, points per game, some assists if I can grab it, steals across the board if I could grab it, and maybe some interesting blocks. Would I want to go and grab a good block player, an interesting... like a Chet? I don't think so. Like a Scotty, I don't love this year. I don't love Scotty. Doesn't get me... Although Scotty could be interesting. I'd really have to think about this. I will fade a Pascal Siakam. I just don't think the assists are strong enough for what I'm getting, and I don't really need low steals, low blocks. Although Pascal will have a really interesting year. So let's start to highlight some players. Apollo Banchero. That could be really interesting too, but I'm not going to get anything in the way of steals or blocks. It's high turnovers. I just don't think Apollo is a right build for me, especially when I could get a Derek White who will get the same amount of assists with 1/2 of the turnovers. That's a really efficient build in a league like this, where I may even get... No, he's going to have worse field goal percentage. Derek White goes. Let's see. That was an interesting pick. Derek White, Jalen Johnson, Cade. What's my build here? I need to think pretty strong. I don't want a Paolo, so let's put Paolo down for now. I want Jaren on the turn of the next round. This is a big thinker here. I'm going to fade a LeBron, a Scotty. I just don't know what to do with a Scotty here. I want dynamic players. Is Chet dynamic enough? Chet could be interesting because you're getting a big man, a center who's power forward eligible, who can get blocks. And I don't have any blocks. how is Wemby's team looking? That's an interesting question. If I could grab a Chet and a JJJ, I am in good shape here. Do I need to accentuate steals? Curry's not a great steal guy. Do I want to give up on assists? No. I'm thinking here. I think Chet is the right build for category like I have here. A big man who won't kill you in the free throw department. Better field goal percentage than Scotty Barnes. I think a Chet is an interesting build here. A big who can actually hit a three and get blocks. That's dynamic. Let's see. What is Wemby's build? That's good for me. That's a really interesting pick for me. Chet. Let's see if I totally messed up here. I'm not quite sure. It's early for Chet, but I think Chet can have a really, really nice year. Chet was an interesting pick there. Dynamic big man, power forward / center eligibility. I do get blocks. That's pretty interesting. He's just really good across the board. Now, I think I'm going to want to go with Jaren Jackson Jr. If I don't get JJJ, I'm going to want to go with Trey Murphy here, who is excellent across the board stats. You just can't lose. So I think my logic is Jaren Jackson Jr., Trey Murphy with my build. I could get a Jamal Murray, where I am getting more assists, a really, really good dynamic player, but I'm not getting as many threes as a Trey Murphy. I need to make sure I'm hitting my threes here. At this point, I cannot afford to lose threes, and I think I need to keep working free throw percentage too. I don't want to tank any free throw percentage, so a Paolo is not a good fit. A Franz is actually a very interesting fit. A De'Aaron Fox is a good fit. I don't like Bam too much. Doesn't get me enough blocks for a big man, and I just don't like his threes relative to what I can get versus JJJ. Let's throw in Jamal. Let's kind of fade a Ja Morant. I think we're fading Morant here, although those are interesting assists too. Do I want to grab another assist guy just to make sure I am in good shape? The problem is if I get a JJJ, I would have grabbed Holmgren and JJJ, and that's just not so dynamic in the assist department. I think I know who I'm going for and who I'm not going for here, so wow, if LeBron falls, am I inclined to take LeBron at this spot? Hurts me in free throw, hurts me in turnovers. I think he won't have as good a year in steals or blocks, but he does get threes at a better rate than a Franz. I'm just thinking through my process here. Let's see, Walker Kessler was drafted, so I have to look at this team. Obviously, Walker Kessler, that your alarm should go off when Walker Kessler gets picked at 33rd. That means this guy is definitely going for blocks, so it will compromise my block strategy. So let's see, draft results. Wow, so, okay, Amen, Dyson, and Walker Kessler. This guy has got such an interesting build. So he is going for, I think I know his build down to a T. So he's going for, he's going for a 5 category, maybe a 6 category lock with a 3 or a 4 punt, which is a little crazy to do in 7 cat. Like he could end up finishing outside of the playoffs because he narrowed in a little too much. So JJJ goes. That definitely hurts me. And JJJ, I see this guy's build too. He's like a dynamic 3-point team as well. And I think that's a good pairing with Maxey and Trey Young, but here's the risk. Who knows what's going to happen with the Sixers this year? Philadelphia, I think, is going to finish probably the 3rd or 4th worst in the East, and I just don't think Tyrese Maxey, much like last year, is going to play when the moment counts. We've got some thanking to do here. We've got some real thanking to do. Wow, a Karl Anthony Towns, Evan Mobley, Paolo Banchero build. It's really important, especially in a high-stakes league, to not just think about your team, but think about your team relative to other teams. Wow, this Amen Dyson Kessler build is strange. Who is he taking on the turn? He's taking thinking about his strategy, he will take a Ivica Zubac pick, 100%. He is going for field goal rebound, steal, block, turnover. Field goal, rebound, steal, block, turnover. 5-category lock. I just don't think that's going to bode too well for him. He's going to have too many 5-4 wins and to have too many. You need a little bit of kurtosis. You need a little bit of skew. You need to have like a couple, 6-3, 7-2 wins to start to really cook in a big money league. I think too much of a narrow punt. All right. This gentleman over here is definitely going for some sort of. All right. This is, you pick cat, yet you sort of do a quasi free throw punt. I'm not quite sure I understand that. Let's see, another dynamic. This is going to go Trey Murphy over here, almost 100% based on this build. And then I need to kind of think about my next phase here, my next move. I could be very good with a De'Aaron Fox or Jamal Murray, even a Franz in this spot. Do I risk it with a LeBron? It's such a late pick for LeBron. This could be a league winner if I grab LeBron. Yeah, this JJJ is probably a Trey Murphy the third if I'm just looking. Oh, he goes Franz. Okay. If I get Trey, I'd be all too pleased. Let's see, a Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, Bam build. What are you going for, my friend? Nick with mix. Let's see. He's going for. He'll probably go somebody with good. I couldn't even guess right now, but it looks like he's taking dynamic, efficient. He's still getting efficiency across the field goal and free throw, so he won't want to compromise that, and I'll probably want some threes. So let's see, field goal, maybe like a Jamal Murray in that spot for him. Who's going to take LeBron? Actually, a Desmond Bane in that spot would be good for him. He goes Jamal Murray. Interesting. I still think Trey Murphy is my spot. I almost think it's 100% Ivica Zubac for this crazy guy over here. 3-6 Moultries. It's got to be an Ivica based on how he's thinking. And this will be very telling. Whoever he picks here, I know exactly what direction to kind of go, what direction to avoid. Trey Murphy's interesting because he does get me some fringe blocks paired with threes. A player that I'm instantly thinking about who I need to grab at some point will be a Matas Buzelis. He is going to be like a JJJ, Ivica Zubac, 100%. This guy's got a 5-category punt, so I need to be pretty cognizant. I'm going for a rebound punt. Clearly, I need to punt rebounds if I'm going to have a chance of survival here. So I've pretty much built a rebound punt team. A Trey Murphy would be excellent for me. A De'Aaron Fox would also be excellent. Wow. Okay, so I think I'm in good shape. But Trey is really, really good for this build here. I've got a Trey. Would I be so bold as to take a LeBron here? I don't think it serves me as well as a Trey. It doesn't not. What I do get here is free throw percentage. I continue to build on really good free throws. So I get my free throw on my threes. I still have points. Not so much in the way of assists, but I do get to bolster steals and maybe a touch of blocks across the field. Yeah, I'm going to want to grab a Trey here because the threes are dynamic and he is a low turnover guy too. So my spot here is a Trey. I don't want to miss Trey here. Fox is good too, but I think I cannot miss a Trey Murphy here. All right, so let's start to build here. This is a really, really challenging draft, and I would expect nothing less in a $500 competitive dollar league over here, $500 league. This has proven to be really, really challenging. So, how am I doing? Free throws good, threes good, points good. Rebound is looking like a little bit of a soft punt. Assists are, I don't want to make it a punt. Steals across the league, I should do fine. Blocks, I should be doing okay, and turnovers are actually looking pretty good here too. So I want to continue to draft guys who are efficient. I don't want to take players who have excessive turnovers. And, I'm really just letting the draft dictate my build, and it seems pretty simple right now. If I could get a good assist guy on the turn, like if a Fox is available for me on the turn, I think I'd be all too pleased. So a Fox is a good guy for me. A Zion is interesting, but a Zion actually is a terrible pick for me because he is going to hurt my free throw percentage at a very high rate. If I had a different sort of build, I would go for a Zion, but that doesn't make much sense for me. Deni Advia is also a very popular player, but I don't think is a good build for me. because it will be high turnover and pretty bad free throw. And Nikola Vucevic is actually very interesting for me in the spot. A Vuce is interesting. Fox is number 1. A Vuce who I don't love this year. I'd almost rather not get Vuce and try to grab Buzelis in a later round. Now, a Brandon Miller, that could be the right pick for me. I don't love his high turnover and his high field goal. But if I'm looking across the board and all my other stuff, we got free throws, threes, points, steals, and low-level blocks for that build. Man, Brandon Miller is super interesting. A Porzingis is a perfect argument for this as well, but I just worry about him playing enough games to have a meaningful impact. He's also perfect for my build too. Right now I'm looking for efficient big men who can hit a 3 and can get a block. Like, that's sort of what I'm thinking. De'Aaron Fox goes immense value in that spot. Just immense value in that spot. This is such an interesting build. Jokic, so this is really good assist. This guy's building up assists. I like this. This ends up being a free throw punt team over here. Let's just see what Dustin's dazzling team does. I still have a little bit of time, but I think I've sort of narrowed into the players who are going to be a good fit for what I'm doing. I simply need to go into... I have to go into punt mode to compete with any of these other teams. So my points are looking good. Let's see. Free throws, threes, points. Free throws, threes, points. Those are my main categories that I'm cooking on. And I need to sort of have win against the field and steals and blocks. And be able to win turnovers. So this is going to be a really interesting, very, very interesting dynamic. Brandon Miller goes here too. Not quite sure I understand that. I'm trying to see, does that make sense for his team? It's a little noisy here. Dustin's dazzling team. Brandon Miller. I mean, you get a Jokic. He's kind of like... I don't understand why you would pare down on having such good field goal percentage to start, but if he builds around having really good field goal percentage moving forward, it's a nice build. Obviously, he's doing a block punt. He's getting steals versus the field, which is interesting. I think I'd rather get a Vooch than a Porzingis in my spot here. Definitely a Vooch over Porzingis. Kawhi Leonard, another one of those guys who just... I have no idea how many games he's going to play. A Tyler Hero is a immense value for me. If I could get him in round 6... or round 7. If I could get a Tyler Hero in round 7, that is the perfect player for my build. That is the perfect player for my build. All right, so let's keep our mind on that later on. As of now, I need to draft. I must get some centers who are dynamic. Jarrett Allen is also interesting for my team too. Well, he's a low volume free throw shooter, so that will not hurt my free throws. Doesn't get a 3, but I'm really doing okay in 3s so far. A very dynamic center who can get a steal and can get a block, who's super low turnover, which is helping. Right now, I'm punting. I'm going for turnovers. I cannot mess up here. A Vooch goes. Porzingis doesn't quite do it for me. And OG Anunoby, a little early. Do I want to gamble with an OG? See if I could get him at pick 66 instead of reaching for a 55. This way I could get a dynamic big man and still be able to get an OG Anunoby. Kawhi. Am I thinking so hard about this? Honestly, Kawhi Leonard is almost the perfect player for this build here, too. You're getting 3s. You're amazing across the board. And he's playing in the preseason, which is a very good sign. Wow. But I'd rather have a Kawhi or a Porzingis. I think in this build, I'm probably better off getting a Porzingis. A DeAndre Ayton is actually a really interesting pick in that spot, too. I think either way, I'm in good shape. I kind of want to gamble here kind of want to gamble here and see if I take a Porzingis or a Kawhi, if I could grab OG on my next pick. That's going to make a lot of sense for me. I mean, Zach LaVine is also a perfect pick for me in this spot too. I don't love his high turnovers relative to what else I can get on the board here. Again, I need to be really cognizant of the stats that I can win. I don't think LaVine's going to kill me, but against any other team that is trying to somewhat target threes, I should be in good shape with this really good field goal percentage. Zach LaVine is super cool for me there too. Miles Bridges, that's a weird pick. All right, I've got a nice look at the buffet. So I think I'm going to wait on a LaVine. I don't know how many more dynamic big men are left, like a Porzingis. This is a really interesting spot. This is a super interesting spot. A Porzingis or a Kawhi? Porzingis or a Kawhi? Do I want to get the steals? I could get valuable steals later on. And I don't have that. My steals are not that great anyway. But I could kind of be okay in blocks here. Ugh, I hate the risk of a Porzingis here, but he's almost the perfect player for me. Dynamic center that can hit threes and get blocks. There's not many of them. Ugh, I would never even think about getting Porzingis, but I think it's just kind of the right pick here. Let's grab you, Porzingis. Grab him right by the Porzingis. Okay, so. We're still looking good in free throw. Are we number one in free throw? Let's see, standings, free throw. We're up there. Field goal, middle of the pack. Free throw, good. Threes, number one. Points, okay. Rebounds, I know I'm bottom of the pack. Well, not all the way bottom of the pack. Assists, very low. Steals, mid. Blocks, okay. Turnovers have to be close to number one here. I'm not. But I'm not so far off. Let's think about my next idea. I think I'm not going to have Hero. Let's uncheck him and recheck him. See if I can grab Hero in round 7. If I can get Hero in round 7, I'll be in good shape. Same with Darius Garland. For now, I think if I could grab an OG... Here's the problem with grabbing an OG here. Do I really want to take back-to-back super injury-prone players? Probably not. That's sort of inadvisable. They say the best ability is availability. Yes and no, but in this scenario, back-to-back picks in round 5, 6, players that combined may not play 70 games. I think it's super risky. It's super risky. I'm inclined to take either a Zach LaVine, and OG Anunoby kind of does it for me here. Low turnovers, good middle of the line blocks, good steals, and I'm getting threes from my small forward position. Not going to kill me in free throws. It's got to always stay on your toes. Kawhi's just too risky of a pick here in this spot. I'm essentially officially punting rebounds, which means I'm quasi-punting field goal percentage, which we sort of knew. You're not really going to try to achieve three-pointers and win field goal percentage. The dichotomy just doesn't exist. So I think I've got a good grasp of my build. I can get some low-key blocks, some low-key steals, and be really good across the board in free throw, threes, and points. And try to be good enough in turnovers, where these high-octane teams that are going to beat me in points won't necessarily beat me in turnovers. So I have to be very cognizant of that too. A DeMar wouldn't be a good pick for me in the spot. Neither would a Jimmy Butler, because we are lacking threes from our positions and not many blocks. Okay, we're shaping up. We're shaping up here. Now I think we just need to prioritize like an OG versus a Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine is really nice across the board, although I don't really need to think about field goal percentage. He is nice across the board. Does get me points. I also need to make sure I'm focusing on grabbing points, which is sort of a priority in this draft. Man, if a Kawhi falls to 66, am I insane not to get him? Even though I know he's injury prone. I'm just not getting steals. I'm not getting that combination there. I'm not getting that combo of steals, threes, points, and efficiency across the board. We're in a good position. It's better to be deliberating and thinking about 5 potential players when it's 5 picks left for you or 3 picks left for you. I've got 5 players with 3 picks left, so I cannot go wrong here, although I really have 3 players because I'm not grabbing Hero and Darius Garland on this spot here. So Kawhi goes, don't even have to think. Buzelis goes, I think a little early for me. Now we think about an OG versus a Levine. I could grab a niche steal guy toward the end of the draft and like a Kason Wallace if I want to fortify. But what OG does for me that Zach LaVine does not is get me some fringe blocks while still having efficient turnover, and 2.3 threes is good with that combo set. Zach LaVine is good there, but I'm already doing very, very well in threes. I don't need to over accentuate threes. Okay. Ugh, Peyton Pritchard is also such a G for me here too. Peyton Pritchard is a perfect pick for me. Not in this round, in the next round. I don't think I want to lose out on a Peyton Pritchard, and I think I'll have enough for me to choose from to make the best choice here. Peyton Pritchard will be really interesting this year. Let's put a pin in that. Let's grab an OG, because I don't know how many more dynamic forwards I will be able to grab in this spot. All right, we're going to grab an OG. We're going to want to start to queue up some players. So Hero, Garland's gone. Hero we want. Zach LaVine we want. Peyton Pritchard we definitely want. And I think we kind of want to put a pause on that for now. A Khalil Ware is another super interesting big man that I don't want to miss out on because I think he will get me some threes. I don't think he's going to murder me in free throw. It's not great. It will definitely weigh me down, but I'm grabbing my fringe blocks with good turnovers. So Khalil is somebody who I'm definitely going to want to target here as well for a dynamic center for like the kind of build I'm going for. Let's do this. I grabbed an OG Anunoby. Let's pop him in. See how we're looking. OG. All right. So, I think our threes relative to field goal is fine, but it just doesn't matter. There's enough teams in this league that are just so curve fitting for field goal percentage. Assists are not great. So we're looking we're strong in 3 categories and okay in 3 categories. If I have the opportunity to boost up assists a little bit at this point, I think I should do so. What hurt me is Chet, Porzingis, and OG. So Chet, Porzingis, and OG hurt me in assists, but those 3 players really helped me out in getting fringe blocks. And while they're getting 3, so it's a rare combo. So we want to grab a Tyler Hero, maybe a Zach LaVine, and a Khalil Ware is looking really interesting if I could get him. Pick number 90. I don't think he's falling to 90, but I can afford to not have him because there are other dynamic big men like a Mark Williams after him if he falls to me, or even like an Isaiah Hartenstein, who is interesting because you have that super rare combo of some assists. I really don't need rebounds. That's interesting. I need to think about that. And Alex Sarr is even more interesting. Even more interesting as an Alex Sarr. So there are dynamic big men simply just waiting for me to go and pluck them. Wow, a Brandon Ingram is here. Super late too. I still think it's a little too early, and like a Shaden Sharp is there for me. I don't want to cling in because maybe I do want to cling in. Maybe I'll have to think about it. I don't want to weigh down my points too much. But there are players that just fit really well for my build that are going to be available here later on. Again, I need to be really, really cognizant of turnovers here. How are we doing on turnovers? How are some of these funny teams drafting? Let's see. I'm going to roll you through. I know a lot of people want to see the draft board, so I'm going to make sure I'm rolling through the draft board. And like I said, at the end, I will go through the entire draft board, do a quick analysis. Wow, 3-6. This guy he gets a Josh Hart and then a Yaakov Poeltl here. So he's going to start to run out of, I know exactly what he's doing. He grabbed 2 dynamic point guards who get funny stat returns, have point guard eligibility, And now he's souping up on centers. He has nary a... Oh, no, he does have some forwards here. That's such an interesting build. He is really going for an interesting build here. He's trying to wrap up blocks. Okay. I think the real question here is me versus him in turnovers. He's going to edge me out in turnovers. But it'll be close. It'll be closer than I think he wants it to be. Let's see how I compare with other teams that have good free throws. So these teams have good free throw, but I have better three-pointers. I'm pretty much leading the pack in three-pointers. You know, I have to lead the pack in something. I have to have some sort of definitive category. I need to boost myself in points at this point. So I need more points. Rebounds, foregone conclusion. I need to start to soup up some assists to get back to the middle of the pack here. So I need points, assists, some steals. Points, assists, some steals. Tyler Hero and Levine go, so that kind of hurts me. Points, that Levine would have been perfect for me there. I think it's still too early for a Khalil Ware, so I need points, assists, and some steals. I mean, is an Andrew Nembhard my guy here? I think I would value a Nembhard over a Jordan Poole because Jordan Poole is really high turnovers. He's really high turnovers. I just don't need that turnover. I'd rather have a Nembhard who's going to bloop. Nembhard goes. All right. Norman Powell is a little too specific for my build. I don't get any assists. I don't get that many steals, but I do get good points, and I think he's going to get a lot of points here. I need to make sure I'm getting points. That's why I added the centers. I still prefer Khalil Ware here. He will get points. I like an Alex Sarr. So I'm going to try to target these guys as my 90th pick. If I could get a Khalil or a Sarr, Mark Williams, probably not a Hartenstein. Probably not a Hartenstein. He's not dynamic enough, but he is low turnover. Shading Sharp is super interesting for me too. Too early. I need a dynamic player who can get me points, some assists, and some steals. And who is super efficient. I like Christian Brown, but I just don't think I'm getting enough in the way of points, and I don't need out-of-position rebounds here. Although I think Christian Brown is going to be super interesting. I like him a lot. I think he's going to have a great year. He looks great in the preseason. Norman Powell. I don't love it, but I don't hate it. And he goes anyway. Wow, wow, wow. I am set with a decision here. It is thanking time. It is thanking time. Wow, I've got 40-something seconds to make a really interesting decision. I don't know if I want Cameron Johnson here. Mikal Bridges. Who's going to get me points? Michael Porter Jr. just... Everybody knows he's going to have a great 3 months, and then he's just not going to be there. He's not going to play. Maybe I just grab a Khalil early so I could fortify it. I need points. Mikal is good across the board, but not enough steals. The assists are not so great. Oh, down to 10 seconds. Mikal. I think Mikal's good enough for me across the board. Efficient. We're going to go Mikal. I don't love it, but I had to make a decision here. Bridges. Mikal Bridges. I also don't, if I could go back in time, I don't think I'd be making that pick. I have both him and OG on a Knick team where they're probably going to be getting less minutes per game. It's good across the board stats. It just doesn't affect anything on my team too much. I lose a Khalil Ware. Like, in retrospect, I feel like I almost rather have taken a Khalil Ware and then just would have gambled with another type of player. I have regrets. I have regrets on that one. And Alex Sarr is the right kind of pick for me. I'm a dynamic big man that can get you threes and blocks. I just hope his turnovers aren't too dreadful. I could always drop him or trade him. I think he's due for a good year. That field goal percentage was just insane last year. He has to be better than that. Although it doesn't really matter. I'm kind of soft punting field goal percentage. Free throw, it's not great. I just don't know what kind of volume he's going to be having free throw, or I don't know what volume we'll have free throws at, but the blocks are kind of something that I'll need in my build here. I need fringe blocks tied with threes. You know, you have to have dynamic. If I were to just take a player that was pure blocks at this point, it wouldn't really help me much. A Ben Mathurin. There's other players here that are really, really good for my build. I still think I have a whole cohort of guys for 9 and 10 where I can make some interesting decisions here. But for now, I'm going to work with what I've got. Porter goes at 84. Pretty interesting. Cameron Johnson, another very, very unique player here. I'm going to want to highlight Cameron Johnson. I think I would take Cameron Johnson at 90. I've got my guys highlighted. I want to avoid a Paul George. I just don't know what's going to happen with him. I think he's on his last legs. Just too much risk for me in this spot. I'm going to avoid a Donovan Clingan. I'd rather have a Sarr than a Clingan in this spot. I don't think Clingan's going to get me much threes, and I think he's a bad free throw shooter. This is where we really start to think. Let's take a look at some of the draft results. He goes for an Isaiah. This is just too many centers. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see how dynamic he gets. He's probably going to go for, knowing 3-6, he's going to go for like a Jaden McDaniels, Tumani Kamara, Tari Eason. Like, I know this guy's build in and out here. Let's see who's being smart and who's being silly. I'd like to think I'm being somewhat smart. Middle of the draft when it gets really, really challenging here. And it's like, it's so hard to judge players by their pure stats. At this point, especially in a competitive league, it's all about judging players how they fit into your build. You need to think build. The problem with a list of players, like the top 250, the top 150 players, it almost doesn't matter. Players 60 through 80, it's all about how they fit into your team. So it is super important to have some sort of tool, something that allows you to track your draft to know what the heck you're doing. I'm averaging 1 steal and 1 block, low turnovers. So I think my build here is to just kind of be decent in steals, blocks, and turnovers and get really, really great in free throw, threes, and points per game. So I could have like maybe a 6. You know, I could be like a 6-3 winner versus some teams. Very rarely I could have a 7. I'm just almost never going to win rebounds. I'm almost never going to win rebounds, and I will win assists infrequently at this point. Some really interesting builds here. Some really, really interesting builds. And remember, when you're drafting and a player gets picked a little too early, your alarm bell should go off and say, okay, we've got a very, very specific build. And as I mentioned before, it just allows you to build your team around not being number 1 in a certain category. Like, I know I'm not going to be number 1 in blocks, but I could be number 2 or number 3. A Draymond Green pick there. Sure, I guess, why not? That seems to be this guy's build. Although, Draymond is not... I don't know how Draymond's going to do this year. He's kind of like a low field goal, but it doesn't really matter for this guy's build. He has some threes. Doesn't really matter for this guy's build. Let's see. Who have I left? Cameron Johnson is almost too decent not to get. A Shaedon Sharpe, another player. I think Cameron Johnson is just cleaner. His stat return is cleaner. Shaedon Sharpe has a little more upside, but a Cam Johnson on a Denver team where he's got something to play for is going to have a cleaner stat line. I think he really fits into my build, where I'm getting good points and threes, okay assists, it'll keep me afloat, okay steals. Is there somebody else who I would prefer to have? A Ben Mathurin? I just don't think of Ben Mathurin as much. Claxton is not kind of not the guy I need here. John Collins is pretty big turnover here. My spot is a Cam Johnson. And now I really need to be cognizant about, like, if I'm going to be able to grab an Onyeka Okongwu. So Reed Shepherd is also really cool for me too. I think he's good out of position steals and blocks, will be good free throw. I think his turnovers will be somewhat high. I mean, even for me, like a Naz Reid, a guy who I usually never target, but for my build is also really interesting. To be able to get 3-pointers paired with kind of low-level blocks and steals with low turnovers, that's good for me too. That's good for me too. I'm sort of running low on guards. I have a point guard, a shooting guard, a guard. I don't have enough guards. I need to start thinking about some guards here. And I could get some pure centers too. So it's kind of like guard pure centers where my mind's at. A Cam Thomas I'm avoiding because he is going to be high turnover, nothing in the way of steals or blocks, and I just can't see him playing more than 50 games this season. Anthony Simons. Bad field goal. Who cares? Celtics. There's just room there. He goes. He goes. Am I going to want to take a Keegan with a very, very late to last pick so that I can have a dynamic guy on the injury reserve and I can pick somebody else up? All right, let's do this. Let's throw Johnson. Let's toss a little Johnson over here. Cameron Johnson. Mr. Cameron Johnson. Is that right? I'm on pick 10? Yeah, I'm gonna be on pick number 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 guys. How am I shaping up? The turnovers are looking good. Honestly, getting Chet was a really, really nice grab for this build, allowing me to balance threes and low-level blocks. I'm going to be like 3rd or 4th in blocks, but I don't need to be number 1 blocks. I just don't need to be. I can be good enough in blocks to beat the field, and then versus a guy like this, I could still win free throws, threes, and points. And even if I could like edge myself out and assists a little bit here, I should have a chance to beat him. And then always like a coin flip with turnovers. I need a guard and I need a dynamic center. So guard and center here. Nick Claxton's not dynamic enough. CJ McCollum will have a great 3 months of the season and then see ya. I don't think Bradley Beal will be high octane enough on a very crowded Clippers team. We need defined roles. We are really, really like, even a Jabari Smith later on is interesting, dynamic center for me. A Keontae George could be cool for me later on too. However, his turnovers are really, really bad, but I will never get another opportunity to get those kind of points and those kind of assists, although they're kind of dirty and inefficient, but we'll see. But Tobias Harris is almost like exactly the build I'm going for. Tobias is almost the perfect guy, but I already have too many forwards here. I'm overloading on forwards. I need more center eligible players here, although truly Holmgren and Porzingis can both be center positions, opening up my forward position. So I don't need to overcommit right now because the dynamics of Porzingis and Holmgren. I don't need another pure center if it's not absolutely necessitated here. Too early for a read. Now I need to think about like a Naz versus a Tobias Harris. Naz goes, so I'm Tobias Harris. He's so unsexy. He's so unsexy, but can I make him sexy? Reed Shepard's good. Can he be a league winner for me? Not enough points. I need to get some points here. Andrew Wiggins is kind of dirty, but he does get me some blocks and steals and points and threes. Bad free throw. I'm not really interested in killing myself there. Reed Shepard, Tobias Harris. It's early, but I think Reed Shepard is the pick here. It's really early, or I could gamble and get him on the turn. I think Tobias Harris. You know what? We're going to go Reed Shepard here. It's too early, but we're going to grab him. Way too early for Reed, but if Reed can be even halfway interesting this season, I've got a nice pick on my hands. Will not hurt my free throw. I think will be a good three-point shooter. Points are not going to be there. Assists are there, so that'll help me differentiate from some of those other teams where I'm not necessarily going to be great in blocks. I think we can get okay out of position blocks. I think he could be a great steals guy here too. And it does help me to get another guard. So 2 center spots are already kind of filled here with Porzingis and Holmgren. I could just continue to build with talent. I think it's at Tobias Harris here. If I don't get Tobias, Wiggins is too dirty for my build. D'Angelo could be really interesting for my build here. Actually really interesting, although he's coming off the bench as a Maverick because Cooper Flag is starting. So I'd rather get somebody who is a starter. So let's not. Jabari Smith is interesting for me. Again, another player who he's going to start in Houston. I think he's going to be good. I mean, can he break out? Probably not. There are so many mouths to feed in Houston, but he's seriously interesting. Drew Holiday is another interesting guy here too, although he's old, so I just don't know what he's going to do for me. I'd almost rather get a Keontae, get a shot at a bigger shot here. Let's start to see if there's anybody else who I really like. Let's scroll through. Anybody who's interesting, like a Chris Paul is like a last round, like could be a game winner for me. Amazing assist to turnover ratio. We'll get good steals. It's just not going to hurt me. We'll get like a 3.5. Ooh, Asante was really nice pick there. Kuminga is a lot like a Andrew Wiggins. I'm just not interested in dirty stats. Gary Trent, too early. Mia's Kate. I'm going really down the list here. Like a PJ Washington is also cool for me, but again, Dallas, so many mouths to feed. Quentin Grimes, really late here. Really. I think I'm really digging in really deep. Wow. Kason Wallace was picked, and I bet it was by that crazy team. It was not. Kason Wallace was here. Tari Eason and a Kason Wallace. This is also a really cool build. CB5. This is a cool build here with AD. If AD stays healthy, this is a really interesting team. Kind of built up some good assists, although I'm not seeing out of position blocks and steals from Harden. I think I kind of have my strategy down. I could probably still use some guards. I only have 3 guards here. Cam Thomas goes. Wow. Okay. Here's the draft board. It's going to be an unconventional draft board because so many teams are going for really interesting punts here. A lot of interesting punts here. Let's see. I've got a Reed Shepherd here. That's a good guard. 3 more picks till my turn. I've got some players teed up and queued up. Tobias Harris is pretty low level, but just so interesting across the board. He's not going to hurt me, and I think with my with my emphasis on trying to win turnovers, he's a good pick for me too. I am inclined to grab a Keegan at some point. CJ McCollum. Here's why I like a CJ. I've got a shot here. I've got a real shot where I need a guard, and CJ will start. He won't finish the year, but like, what if he does? If he does, this could be one of the steals of the draft here, grabbing a CJ who is really good for my build. Tobias goes anyway. Wow, a CJ's really cool there. This is so late for a CJ McCollum, 114. He's going to cook on Washington. There is nobody on that team. I could even use him as trade bait if I'm so inclined. I don't love his free throw, but I don't think he's super high volume. And for a build like mine, to be able to just build on those threes, and really good assist to turnover ratio. I don't get much in the way of steals or blocks, but it's not zero. It's definitely not anything, though. It's going to be a CJ here. I'm just thinking about some other possible picks. Even like a Keontae may be a better pick here, but. Huge turnovers there. All right, we're definitely going a CJ. And I think we're going Jabari with our next pick. Again, staying dynamic, grabbing some threes and low-level blocks with good free throw percentage. And I think his field goal percentage is really going to uptick this year too. So I think we're going for a Jabari or a Keontae George. A lot of these other players I just don't like here. Like, listen, maybe I do take a Brad Beal. Maybe I just do take a Brad Beal at some point here. You're just getting ridiculous value. I would like an Aaron Gordon. I really would. But it just gets you nothing in the way of steals or blocks, and it's just not good enough. Aaron Nesmith is perfect for my build too. I'm hoping to be able to grab him. If I could grab him pick 138, that would be a really, really nice grab for my squad. A really nice grab. Do I need any more centers? I do. I need somebody center eligible here. It's a Jabari spot. This is definitely a Jabari spot. I only have 2 center eligible players. So I just need at least one more center eligible player. Let's see. Isaiah Jackson. Interesting, where I'm definitely getting steals and blocks. Really interesting. Moussa Diabate. I don't think he's going to get me enough steals or blocks. Nemeas Keita as a last rounder, sure, why not? Filipowski will be good later on, but it's just too early to grab him now. Brook Lopez. Wow. Even in minimal time, Brook is going to be the perfect player for my squad. Holy crap. Brook is so my guy here. It's too early for Brook. It's too early for Brook, but I don't not want to get Brook here. I definitely don't not want to get Brook. Even like Al Horford is a last rounder. No, it's not going to work for me. Wow. I don't think I'm going to be reaching for any other centers here. I'll be able to get some semblance of a center, and I will need a center, but Brook is like almost too perfect for me here. Brook is almost too perfect for me. There's still a lot of value just hanging out there, like a Keegan. Like, they just paid Keegan $150. Like, he's definitely going to play. The problem is that, actually, it's really not even problematic. I just do probably need another guard. I'm pretty forwarded out. 1, 2, 3. I have 3 spots, and I have 4 guards. I'm going to need another guard, so eligibility-wise, I'm better off taking a Beal over him. So I think it's going to be a Keontae and a Beal, and then my next round, I so want to see if I can grab a Brook. Brook will be like 1.5 threes, 1.5 blocks, and like great for my freaking build with like 0.5 turnovers. So like exactly the return profile I would need. Let me add CJ McCollum here. CJ. Big risk of a shutdown, but it could get me at least off to a good enough start where I'll make the playoffs and I can pivot from that point. All right, let's see how I'm doing here. Standings. Free throws, good. Threes, great. Points, middle of the pack. Aaron Nesmith goes. Rebounds, bottom, totally know it. Assists, toward the bottom. One good ad can get me to middle of the pack. Steals, toward the bottom. Blocks, middle. Turnovers. This is very, very competitive league. Projections aren't everything. Keontae George. Oh, other K George. I mean, Keontae's kind of my pick here. Where else am I going to get that sort of value of points? Points do not exist at this. Yeah, points do not exist here. Colin Sexton, no. Brad Beal, it's definitely Keontae. I have a much, much, much higher chance of Keontae outperforming a Brad Beal. Brad Beal is more efficient, but who cares? Keontae is a perfect guard pick for me here. Perfect for this build. Keontae is perfect for this build. Yeah, dude. Let's see. How much did my points jump after grabbing Keontae? Wow, points jumped significantly with grabbing a Keontae in that spot. Keon Ellis, I think, is an okay pick here. Now it's just grabbing your value. Like, if a Brad Beal is there, I'd be tripping not to grab him. So I need one more center and, like, one more guard. I've got a lot of forwards. I've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 forwards. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guards. I've got 2 centers, so I definitely need at least 1 center, maybe 2 dynamic centers. Oh, I have to grab Brook because there's just no profile return like Brook. He's playing in the preseason. He'll have these 2, 3, 4 block games, and like I'm going for the W. Brook is a really, really good pick for this format. But like, do I gamble with Brook for the last spot? Like, I don't need a Beal. With my build, I do not need a Beal. I can piecemeal kind of Beal-esque stats elsewhere. Nothing else quite exists like a Brook Lopez at this phase of the game any longer. And I think a lot of people may have exhausted their center positions. So it's a Brook Lopez spot for me. And then in 13, let's see if I can like snag up a Keegan. Keegan's such a good spot for me here too. But I do need a dynamic center. I'm almost inclined to just grab Keegan, toss him to the bench, and then just pick somebody up. Gosh, you can't just leave Keegan out there like that. For my build, it's insane. Center, center, center. This is like where the real managers come out. Who's got some deep, deep, deep picks in here? Like I mentioned, at the end of this draft, I'll show you the full draft board so you can kind of see what it is. Obviously, everybody wants to just gauge the flow of a draft so that when they do their draft, they at least have some sort of benchmark. I'm even inclined to, I will post in the comments the entire draft. I think that could be really useful for you too, just to see like how will this draft flow versus your other drafts. Again, this is going to be way more dynamic than your average draft, especially in a $500 league. Like a lot of these guys are like punt masters. Punt masters. Oh, God, Keegan is so valuable there. Keegan would have gone many, many, many rounds before, and I just need to wait a few weeks. I think I have 3 injury reserve spots anyway, so who the heck cares? Yeah, there's no center that has that dynamicism of a Brook Lopez anymore. Even at 20 minutes per game, Brook will still get his. Even at 20 minutes, I'll show you. Brook Lopez preseason stats. LA Clippers. Let's see his preseason stats. He's getting his blocks and he's getting his threes. It's really basic and nary a turnover at all. Not getting you much else, but if we're looking at, like I said, 1.5 blocks and 1.3 threes for a center position, it's just like, you just won't get that anywhere. It doesn't exist anywhere. Like, I wouldn't take a Jay Huff over him. Jay Huff isn't a, you know, I think Isaiah Jackson will get more of that usage. Gosh, I really, really don't want to not get Brook here. I don't think Brook is going to go to the last round. And you know what? If I don't get a Keegan Murray, who cares? I kind of have all of those stats that I need. Like, I have a Bridges, I have an Anunoby, and I have a Cam Johnson. So I don't need another Keegan-like player. Oh, Brook. Brook at me, man. Brook at me. Still got a Beal and still got a Keegan just hanging out there really, really late for these guys. All right, Keegan goes anyway. Beal doesn't do much for me. This is so a Brook spot, right? There's no other center I'd rather have here, and I need a center. Like a Musa Diabate, but that's like no threes. You're not getting any threes. Yeah, there's no center three position. This is so the right pick here. Brook Lopez. Wow. That is really interesting. That is really, really interesting. This is either going to really work out beautifully or horribly, terribly poor. Standings, field goal percentage, trash. Free throw, tops. Threes, tops. Points, okay. Rebounds, bottoms. Assists, mid. Steals, mid to low. Blocks, okay. Turnovers, mid. Wow, these teams are smart. These are really, really smart, interesting teams. And this draft, 70%. Actually, no. 50, 40, 30% of this league will be dictated by the draft. The other 70 is staying on your toes and making those first moves. Those first moves in the first couple weeks, like, even though this is a really, really deep draft, there's still value just hanging out there. Listen, Brad Beal falls to me, I'm just grabbing him. But you got to be on top of the waiver wire the first couple weeks, because that's when, you have these sneaky little sweet players that'll pop up. Brad Beal goes. Who else do I have? Who else do I have? What else do I want? I've got free throws good, threes great, points per game really good, like maybe a good assist guy. Maybe like a good assist guy that won't kill my turnovers. Does that exist anywhere? A good assist guy? How is Halliburton still available? It's like a good assist guy that won't kill my turnovers. Do you exist? Like a Tyus Jones? Yes, but like I don't see him getting too much run on Orlando this year. Are there any sweetie pies? That's a nice little deal for me. No, I think I just need to grab like a very valuable player. It exists. There's a player I could grab at 151 that will be like a top 60 player. Who will it be? Who will it be? For my build, it's not Wiggins. I've got guards. Can I grab another center eligible player? Musa Diabate doesn't do much for me. Jonathan Kuminga doesn't do much for me. So like a Nikola Jovic. Assist from a big man. Power forward. I could use another center maybe. I don't want a Gary Trent here. Like a VJ Edgecombe, like maybe. Scottie Pippen Jr. maybe. PJ Washington maybe. A Kelly Oubre. A Kelly Oubre is cool because I'm getting super low turnovers and some steals, but I'm getting no assists and I need some semblance of assists here. Grab a Caruso. Ace Bailey? Ace Bailey. That's my points there. Ace Bailey. Kick back and relax. Somebody just took Bailey. That's embarrassing. Flexing with Ace. No. Ace is a great pick there. That was a super high upside pick. Wow. Nice freaking pick. How long is Jared McCain out? Jared McCain might be the player I need. Oh, Jared McCain might be the player I need. Can he carve out a role here? Sam Hauser will definitely light it up. Cam Whitmore. Cam Whitmore, a lot of hype, but I haven't seen him do a single thing in the preseason. Wow. Ty Jerome. There's a lot of players here that will be really, really good off the wire guys. Like, I don't need a Clay. I'm just looking for somebody who's got really ridiculously good upside. Bub Carrington preseason stats. Anything impressive? Yeah, kind of. 11 assists. No. That was April 2025. What do we got here? No. Not loving Bub. I'm next. I'm just going to use my full time here. Dylan Harper. Huge upside, Dylan Harper. Adam Bona, pure center. I mean, that's the play. If I grab an Adam Bona here and I get, like, crazy efficient blocks across the board. Bryce Sensabaugh, that's the pick. That's my upside. Check it out. Bryce Sensabaugh. You just got to take your freaking shots here. Bryce Sensabaugh. Here we go. Yes. Bryce freaking Sensabaugh. You just got to take your freaking shots here. This is the round where you just got to throw caution to the freaking wind. I'll probably end up rostering another center somewhere at some point, but Bryce for this pick, you just got to... Here's my top 70 upside guy. Just got to take your shots here. Could have grabbed other players. I could have been a little more efficient for my build, but crazy free throws, could be crazy threes, could end up being a really good points guy. He just looks ridiculously good. He looks ridiculously good. Jazz are going to tank. If I could be patient, I grab the top 23-point shooter who's going to have immense efficiency, like a Trey Murphy light, where I'm getting some steals, maybe half a block. All right, let's go over draft results. Let's see how I fared over here. Free throws good, threes good, points decent, assists low level. Maybe I could grab assists off of the waiver wire at some point. And blocks. Like, who's got that pairing of blocks relative to threes? Nobody who's even close in my realm of blocks can touch me in threes. That's nice to have that sort of dynamicism. That was interesting. I did not expect my team to do that. I really didn't, but let's just kind of see how this shakes out. I'm going to show you, as promised, back through the draft results. And as also promised, I will have the draft pasted in the chat so that you can just go through it. But I'll show you it over here. You let me know in the comments how I fared. Do I have a shot at winning this $3,000 prize? Maybe. Just maybe. So wish me luck this year. I wish you luck. Let me know if you have any questions. Hopefully this was helpful, and I will catch you on the next one. Take care.